Welcome back to the deep dive. We're doing something a bit different today, really focusing our magnifying glass on one source.
Yeah, just one this time, but it's incredibly rich. It's called Excerpts from How to Think Smart and Speak Fluent.
And it tells this really, really powerful story. One person's transformation, yeah, but it feels like a roadmap for lots of people.
Absolutely. And our mission here, it isn't just to tell the story. We want to really dig in, pull out those core insights.
The nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly. The stuff that applies way beyond just learning English. It's about finding your voice, thinking clearly, really in any situation.
Right, because the person at the center of this is a young woman named Melina. The source paints a picture. She's 24, quiet, thoughtful.
Curious. Yeah. And she has this big dream, not just English fluency, but thinking smartly, expressing herself well, always.
And where she starts from.
hmm
So relatable, isn't it? She put in years of effort.
Oh, yeah. The vocabulary lists, the notebooks filled with grammar, watching videos, talking to herself.
Yeah.
All the things you think you should do.
Doing all the right things.
Mm.
But then, face to face, in a real conversation.
Her mind just freezes. Total blank.
Ugh, that feeling. Knowing the words are in there somewhere, but you just can't. You can't grab them. It's crushing.
The source even gives us that little whisper she has. I know the words, why can't I say them? You can just feel the confidence shattering.
And the source really nails the core issue. It wasn't about not knowing enough words or grammar.
No, she was focusing so hard on the speaking, the output. She wasn't tackling the internal thing, the block.
She was thinking in fear. That's the phrase they use.
Right, fearing mistakes, fearing the silence.
Thinking in fear instead of thinking smart. That's the key difference this source gets at.
Exactly. So this whole thing, it's not just a how to learn English guide. It digs deeper into mindset, courage, connection.
And the source tells us, this chance encounter, this really simple shift in approach,
Yeah.
it changed everything for her.
Yeah, she discovers fluency isn't just about words flying out fast. It's about thinking smart, being brave, and actually connecting with people.
Okay, so let's really get into how that shift started, that first key moment.
Right, the library scene, it sets the whole thing in motion.
So picture this. Rainy afternoon, city library. Alina's probably there feeling, that familiar frustration.
And then she sees someone, an older woman. The source describes her vividly round glasses, gray scarf.
Mm-hmm.
Just a calm, powerful presence.
We're those people who just radiates wisdom.
Totally. And she gives Alina this advice. It's incredibly direct, almost startling.
She just looks up and says it. You're trying too hard to speak, but you're not training your mind to think. You think in fear.
If you train your mind to think smart, the words will follow, like music follows rhythm.
Wow. Stop trying to fix the mouth. Fix the mind first. It just flips the whole problem on its head.
Completely. It's not about lack of input. It's the internal process, that fear. And she doesn't just talk. She gives Alina a tool.
Yeah, she hands her a book.
Mm.
And this part's crucial. It's not a grammar book. It's a storybook. Simple.
And the instructions are just as simple, but profound. Read slowly, out loud. Understand the story. Think about the message.
Don't just study English. Feel it. Live it. It's about engaging with the heart of the language, not just the mechanics.
Shifting the focus completely, meaning comprehension, feeling it through the story, the emotion.
And you see the effect right away. Lena goes home, reads that first story out loud. Her voice is trembling, sure, but she's focusing on the meaning.
And here's the amazing part. She starts to enjoy it. That fear starts to loosen its grip just a tiny bit.
That enjoyment factor. It's huge, changes the whole dynamic. Language stops being this enemy you have to conquer.
And the method progresses. She doesn't just read, she starts retelling the stories in her own words.
So she's creating, not just repeating back.
Exactly. That's where the thinking smart really starts to build. Processing the story, structuring it, finding her way to say it.
And the source says, her sentences get longer, confidence creeps back. She actually starts to think in English.
Not with fear driving it, but with clarity.
And the old woman notices this change later, right? She confirms it.
Yeah, she says something like, "You're not just learning English, you're learning how to think." Language becomes the practice ground for a clearer mind.
And boom, we see it in action.
Yeah.
Real-world test. Lost tourists near the metro.
Before she would shrunk away, right? Avoided eye contact.
Totally. But now, she actually approaches them, smiles, gives directions. Clearly, calmly, fluently.
And it's that calmness that's key. It's not about perfect sentences. It's her ability to think clearly, connect, and help them out.
The source really emphasizes that feeling she had using English to help, to connect. It wasn't about performance.
Which leads straight to that first big takeaway she writes in her journal that night.
Yeah. Fluency isn't just about words. It's about thinking smart. Speaking is easy when you're not scared to think. That's the foundation.
She's identified the real barrier, not the language, but the fear of thinking in it, the fear of mistakes.
And knowing that, it pushes her towards the next logical step, finding a place to practice this new way of thinking.
Right, which brings us to the Confidence Cafe.
Perfect name, isn't it? The source says it takes place just a week later, describes it as warm, friendly, books everywhere, laughter.
And the sign outside says it all. Speak to learn. Learn to speak. Mistakes, welcome.
Mistakes, welcome. That flips the script entirely on the biggest fear.
It makes it part of the process, not something to avoid at all costs. And there she meets Grace.
Grace sounds like the heart of the place. Welcoming, curly hair, big smile.
And she sets the tone immediately. We're all learners here. Speak slowly, help each other, and crucially, don't apologize for our accents.
Oh, that's huge. Takes away another layer of self-consciousness right off the bat.
So Alina joins this group. People from all over Brazil, Japan, Egypt, Korea. All there for the same reason. Confidence.
And the topic for the day. Get this. Talk about a mistake that taught you something.
Brilliant, right. It forces you to look at mistakes differently, not as failures, but as lessons.
And we see Alina hesitate. That old fear flares up, sweaty palms, racing heart.
But she remembers the old woman's advice. Think smart. Don't fear the silence. Take a breath.
And she shares her story. The one about forgetting the word kitchen.
Calling it the food room.
Yeah. And the reaction is key. The group laughs, but kindly. And she laughs too.
That shared laughter just deflates the mistake's power. It normalizes it.
And she puts the lesson into words right there. Mistakes are bridges to better memory. They're not dead ends. They're pathways.
That's the smart thinking evolving, isn't it? Using the mistake actively. The whole group gets into it, sharing their own blunders.
And Grace reinforces it. That's the spirit. We don't fear mistakes. We use them. That's smart thinking.
Alina has this realization during the conversation. It's not about nailing every grammar point. It's about connection.
Listening, pausing, thinking, responding. Not just panicking for the right word.
And Grace drops another gem. The smartest speakers aren't the fastest ones. They're the ones who listen, think clearly, and respond with meaning.
That must have felt so validating for Alina. She wanted clear, calm speech, not just speed. And Grace is like, you're already doing it.
That night, the source says, her mind is just buzzing. With thoughts in English. Not translating, just thinking.
All those experiences, The tourists, the cafe laughter, Grace's words, they're locking in this new way of being.
Her journal entry sums it up. Think smart, speak slow. Mistakes are messages. Fluency is not perfection, it's connection. These are becoming her principles.
And this new confidence, this clarity, it leads her to do something really brave.
She records herself speaking, just talking to the camera.
The source says it wasn't, technically perfect,
Wow.
but it was powerful because it was honest, real.
And then she uploads it online, which takes guts, right? Putting your struggle out there.
Huge guts.
Yeah.
But the response.
Oh, wow.
Messages flood in. People saying, you inspire me. I feel the same way. Thank you.
She realizes her voice matters precisely because it's honest, not because it's flawless.
And she gets this deeper insight. Fluent speaking isn't about sounding like a native. It's about thinking like a communicator.
Yeah. Having something meaningful to share and finding your way to share it.
Okay, so she's reframed mistakes, found community, started sharing her voice. What's next? A bigger stage.
Pretty much. Grace announces the Speak Smart Challenge at the cafe.
Ah, okay. The stakes are raised.
Yeah.
Tell a 3-minute story to an actual audience, even a small one.
And Alina's first reaction. Bam! Freeze, heart pounds, old fears rush back. What if I blank? Forget words. What if they laugh?
It shows progress isn't always linear, right? That old wiring is still there.
But this time there's another voice inside her. That cultivated, wiser voice.
It says, you've grown, you've trained your mind. You don't need perfect, you need presence. Presence. That's powerful.
And she chooses her story carefully. Not about learning English, but something personal, symbolic. Her grandmother's garden.
Right, the flower is growing slowly but strong. Be like a flower. It's a perfect metaphor for her journey.
Her preparation is smart too. Writing, practicing, yes, but focusing on clarity, emotion, meaning, not just rote memorization.
And the source mentions she practices breathing. Slow breaths, calm pauses, using her body to manage her mind. That's thinking smart in action.
Then the day comes. The cafe, warm lights, friendly faces, but that stage, it feels big. Hands trembling, palms cold.
But her voice,
Yeah.
steady. Grace introduces her gently.
And she tells the story. Helping her grandmother, wanting fast results, overwatering the poor flower, trying to talk to it.
Asking, why is it taking so long? And the grandmother's gentle reply.
Because it's growing right, not fast, but strong, and one day you'll see the beauty. Such simple wisdom.
And she connects it beautifully to language learning. Wanting it fast, memorizing, panicking, almost giving up.
And then explaining what actually worked. Slowing down, thinking smarter, ditching the fear of mistakes, finding the joy.
And she lands that core analogy. Fluency isn't a race, it's a garden.
You plant words. You water them with practice. You give them sunshine, your confidence, your mistakes, your stories. And slowly, you bloom.
Wow, you can just imagine the feeling in the room.
The source describes this gentle silence then. Real applause. Genuine appreciation. They connected with her truth.
And Grace's reaction afterward. A hug, and she whispers.
That was the most fluent thing I've heard today.
Why? Not because it was fast or complex.
No. Grace explains, fluency is not about speed. It's about truth. You spoke with heart. That's smart speaking. It all comes back to authenticity.
Walking home that night, Alina feels free, proud, present. That presence she aimed for on stage is now part of her.
And her journal entry captures it. My voice is not perfect, but it is mine, and that makes it powerful. Owning it. Flaws and all.
This experience, it seems like it solidifies everything.
Yeah.
And prepares her for the next step, helping others.
Exactly. Weeks later, she's carrying herself differently, speaking with purpose, and she notices someone new at the cafe.
Daria, a young girl, maybe 16, nervous, clutching her notebook.
A total mirror image of Alina's past self. Scared, quiet, feeling stupid, believing you have to be fast and perfect.
And Alina connects instantly. She sees herself.
And she shares the wisdom she so desperately needed back then.
You don't have to be fast. You have to be clear.
And you don't have to be perfect. You have to be real.
And then that killer line. Mistakes don't make you weak. They make you brave. So powerful.
And she makes it real by sharing her own food room mistake. Proof that errors aren't fatal. Every mistake is a teacher.
This turns into a real mentorship. They meet regularly. Alina shows her practical things, slowing down, breathing, listening, shares her notebook tricks.
But the source highlights the most important gift. Patience. Just being there, calmly, consistently.
In a world obsessed with speed, that kind of patience is rare and transformative for someone who's afraid.
Grace sees it happening, calls Alina a mentor, says leadership is just that, sharing what helped you.
And when Daria says, admiringly, "You speak like a native now," Alina gently corrects her.
No, I speak like myself. That's even better. Reinforcing that authenticity is the goal, not imitation.
Then Grace invites Daria to the next Speak Smart challenge. Daria hesitates. "I'm not ready." And Alina echoes the wisdom she learned. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be real. Passing on the torch.
And Daria does it. Gets up there, hands shaking, but her voice is clear, honest. She even quotes Alina's lesson about mistakes being bridges.
Saying, "And now I'm not afraid to cross them."
Oh, that must have been a moment for Alina. Clapping the loudest, pride shining through.
Grace nails it again.
Yeah.
You didn't just learn fluency, Alina. You passed it on. That's the smartest thinking of all. Empowering others.
Walking home feeling light, Alina writes in her journal, to speak well, think smart, to think smart, believe in growth, to grow, help someone bloom. It's this beautiful cycle.
This growth is amazing, but the source gives us a real pressure cooker moment next, right? Outside the comfort zone of the cafe.
Oh, yeah. The metro incident. Rainy Saturday, train stops suddenly, lights flicker.
Conductor makes this rushed, unclear announcement in French. You can feel the anxiety rising in the carriage. Crying kid, confused elderly woman, lost tourists.
Classic communication breakdown scenario. Potential for panic.
And Alina's response is fascinating. She doesn't necessarily know all the perfect French words for the situation.
No, it's about her presence. She takes off her headphones, stands up, takes a deep breath, heart's pounding sure, but her mind clear. The training kicks in.
She approaches the tourists first, gently asks, "Do you need help?" Explains calmly in English what's happening, reassures them.
And their reaction, relief. And they say, "You speak English so well." Why? Because she was calm, clear, reassuring. That is fluency in that moment.
And her reply is perfect. "I speak slowly. That helps." Underscoring that deliberate speech is powerful.
She then helps the elderly woman using simple language, empathy, calms the crying child with a little magic trick connection beyond just words.
You see the whole mood in the carriage shift. Fear recedes, replaced by calm, because one person stayed present and communicated.
When the train starts again, people actually applaud her. The tourist even says she should be a guide, a leader.
And her humble, truthful reply, "I'm just someone who used to be afraid to speak," connecting her past fear to her present action.
Later, telling her friend Mira, she sums up her understanding of fluency's purpose. It's what fluency is for, not showing off, showing up.
Showing up when your voice can make a difference.
Her journal entry title says it all. Crisis teaches confidence. And the key thoughts. Real fluency is calm in the storm. Perfect presence. Thoughtful words.
And that incredible line, "Fear used to be the loudest voice in my head. Now, it's wisdom."
Wow. She's mastered the internal landscape.
Yeah.
She doesn't fear silence anymore because she knows how to fill it with understanding, courage, and her voice.
This real-world demonstration, combined with her growing online presence, starts to attract wider attention.
Which leads to that surprise invitation. Not an email, a proper printed letter.
From an international education summit in Geneva, Switzerland. They want her as a keynote speaker.
Imagine getting that. The reason they give is powerful. Her journey, her voice representing courage, clarity, connection. They see she has something important to share about everyday speech.
She's stunned, obviously. But her focus goes to that quote on her wall. Speak as though someone is listening who needs your voice to survive today. That gives her the yes.
Traveling there, she reflects on how far she's come. The doubts, the near misses of giving up, now flying towards this huge opportunity.
The summit hall is grand. Experts, policymakers, flags, the works. But she doesn't feel small. She feels ready.
Takes the stage. Simple dress, no slides, just her voice, her truth.
She starts humbly, reminding them she was once silent, then delivers her core message. You don't need fluency to be confident. You need to believe your words matter.
She shares her story, the principles she learned. You don't need perfect grammar. You need brave sentences. You don't need a huge vocabulary. You need real words from your heart.
It's all about courage over perfection, authenticity over imitation.
And she elevates the definition of fluency beyond language itself, helping one person believe in themselves. That's the highest level of fluency, in language and in life.
Their reaction, standing ovation, not just for the words, but for the heart behind them, the honesty.
And this leads to more. People asking her to create things, educational modules, mentoring programs for refugees. A documentary crew gets interested.
But the source points out the message that hits hardest. News from a tiny school in India, playing her videos under a tree. A girl who never spoke starts teaching words, saying, if Alina can speak, so can I.
That direct human impact, that's the real measure. Standing in her Geneva hotel room, looking at the lights, Alina whispers, fluency is not volume, it's value.
Back home, she keeps going, starts a new video series, From Silence to Speech, creates a free online toolkit based on trust, not pressure.
And then the book, Think Smart, Speak Brave, storybook style, real letters, journal entries, raw and honest.
It becomes a quiet sensation precisely because it's honest. It teaches speaking without fear by sharing her own vulnerability.
The final message in the book is for everyone reading. You're not behind, not broken, not alone. Your voice matters. Let it out.
And that last line, fluency begins the moment you stop hiding, just sums it all up.
This global impact is huge. But the source brings the story full circle, back to where she started.
Right, back to her hometown. Same sleepy station, same gray skies. But she's different. The world is different because of the voices she helped unlock.
She gets invited to speak at her old school. There's that flicker of hesitation, remembering being that scared kid, but she says yes.
And she meets Tara. Quiet girl, eyes down, notebook full of drawings, freezes when asked to speak. It's like looking in a time travel mirror.
Tara shyly asks the question Alina probably asked herself 1,000 times. Miss Alina, do you think I could ever speak like you?
And Alina gives her the most important answer, the core of her legacy. I don't want you to speak like me. I want you to speak like you.
She uses that beautiful bird analogy. Birds don't worry about singing perfectly. They sing because the world needs their song. You see the light go on in Tara's eyes.
This sparks voice time. Not a class, a safe space. Community center, speaking without judgment, laughing at mistakes, practicing breathing, using mirrors.
It's about confidence, clarity, connection way beyond just English. We see examples. Raj giving his first presentation, Fatima asking a doctor questions, Omar recording a bedtime story. Small victories, huge impact.
Alina's mantra throughout: you are not just learning to speak English, you're learning to speak your truth.
Voice time spreads, shared online, adopted elsewhere. But Tara's story remains Alina's favorite.
Years later, Tara's on a stage in New York, a youth mentor. Her opening words echo Alina's wisdom. Smart people use simple words that reach the heart. A lesson learned from someone who helped her find her own voice.
Alina watching backstage, tears in her eyes. She didn't just achieve her dream, she planted it in countless others, created an echo.
The final truth: it's not about showing off, it's about showing up for yourself and for others with honesty.
And the source gives us one last beautiful echo, a quiet Sunday morning email.
You changed my life. From Mohammed in Morocco.
Another story of someone locked in silence, dreaming of speaking, finding Alina's videos by chance.
Learning courage from her slow, clear, present style. Not just grammar.
And that one line hits him hard. Fluent is not perfect. Fluent is brave. It gives him permission to try.
He practices diligently, copying her spirit, not just her words. Whispering phrases, using a cracked mirror, slowly, bravely changing.
Until he gives his first speech in English. Shaking, trembling, but he does it. Ending with, I thought I had to be perfect, but now I know I just have to be me.
He writes to thank Alina, to tell her story lives on every time he speaks.
Alina reads it, hand over her mouth, tears welling up. The personal connection, the ripple effect, it's overwhelming.
Her reply to him is just perfect. Slow, careful, truthful. You are the story now. Never stop speaking. Never stop dreaming.
Looking out her window, the world seems brighter. Filled with all these voices, once hidden, now rising. Not perfect, but powerful, declaring, I'm here.
The source wraps this moment beautifully. Smartest thoughts shared honestly, most fluent words spoken with heart, most beautiful voices once believed they had none.
And the epilogue fast forwards 5 years. The legacy is clear, voice time is global. Ahmed leads programs in Casablanca. Tara inspires youth in New York.
Alina, still recording videos in her studio, reaching millions, but treasuring those individual messages of change. Reflecting on the whole arc, the fear, the hope, the courage.
Her final whisper sums up the entire philosophy. Smart thinking is curiosity, openness, kindness. Fluent speaking is bravery in sharing your story. And the greatest power, inspiring others.
The result, a world filling with unique, beautiful voices, because the best stories are the ones we live and the ones we share.
So wrapping up this deep dive, what are the absolute core lessons from Alina's journey that really stick with you?
For me, it's that huge shift from being terrified of mistakes to actually welcoming them as, bridges, from chasing this impossible ideal of perfection to finding power in just being real, being present.
Yeah, and moving from hiding that shaky voice to actually showing up and sharing it, that's massive.
And the source hammers home that training your mind, especially managing that fear, is the bedrock. That's what allows the speaking to flow. Smart thinking first.
Exactly. And courage isn't about not feeling scared. It's about doing it anyway, speaking through the fear. Alina had the potential all along. She just needed to trust it, to unlock it.
It's such a powerful blueprint, isn't it? Not just for language, but for confidence in general. Finding your voice, connecting authentically. Your voice matters because it's yours.
So maybe the thought to leave everyone with today, building on Alina's whole journey, is this. What story is inside you that needs to be told?
Yeah, not perfectly, not fast, just bravely, honestly.
How could embracing your own unique, maybe imperfect voice actually be the most powerful, the most fluent thing you do? Not just for you,
but for someone else out there who might really need to hear exactly what you had to say.
Something to think about. We'll be back soon with another deep dive.